Could I have a count, please? I'm sorry. And what was the out? 311 is the count? Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, before we begin the meeting, this is set for Jim, and it's too close. Before we begin the meeting, I just want to remind everyone that the exits, obviously the two that you came in, there are two exits behind us here, and here the restrooms are across the lobby. And at this time, I'm going to introduce the moderator, Mr. James Donnelly.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order. Once again, could you give us a count? Thank you. We have a quorum. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to now reintroduce the town clerk, Nancy Mello.
The warning for the financial town meeting by Nancy Mello, Town Clerk, to Seth Cottrell, Town Sergeant. Pursuant to Chapter 3 of Title 45 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, you are hereby required to post at least 7 days before the 17th of May, 2006 AD, written notification in 3 or more public places in the said town of Tiverton, Rhode Island, notifying and warning the electors of the said town of Tiverton qualified to vote upon any proposition to impose a tax or for the expenditure of money to assemble in town meeting at the Tiverton Junior Senior High School, 100 North Brayton Road, Tiverton. Wednesday, May 17, 2006 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of ordering a tax to be levied and assessed on the ratable property of said town and the inhabitants thereof for the payment of the town's debts and interest, for the payment of the town's proportion of the state tax, for the support of schools and for the support and maintenance of the poor, for building, repairing, and amending highways, for property belonging to the town, for all necessary charges and expenses whatsoever arising within said town, whether incidental or not to the above, for taking such action as may be expedient in relation to authorizing the town treasurer to release to the parties legally entitled to redeem the same land conveyed by the collector of taxes to the town when the time for redemption has not expired, and also to vote and act on the matters and propositions listed on your docket and transacting of such other business as may legally come before said meeting, and for any and all purposes by law authorized, given under my hand and seal, 17th day of May. The end. At this time, could I call forward the tellers, please, for the swearing in of the tellers? Just repeat it after me. Do solemnly swear that I will.
Do solemnly swear that I will.
faithfully discharge the duties of teller
faithfully discharge the duties of teller
for the town of Tiverton
for the town of Tiverton
at the financial town meeting
at the financial town meeting
of May 17th,
May 17, 2006.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, everybody has their sections?
Yep. We're going to, everybody's going to sign that?
Yeah, you can sign this.
Thank you, Nancy. The first thing on our agenda is the vote on the procedural rules, which you will find on page A of your docket. Number 1 is resolved that any town department head, including town administrator, school superintendent, and the director of library services, who resides outside of town, may participate in these proceedings, but may not vote in these proceedings if the person is not a registered elector of the town of Tiverton.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And any individual in the who is not either the town administrator or department head who we've just voted on, and you're not a registered voter of the town, there is a section in the back door that you came in. You should be sitting in that location for non-registered voters. Number 2. Resolved that in order to conduct an orderly flow of business, the moderator will recognize the chairman of the Budget Committee or his designee to place the Budget Committee's recommendations before the electors. Following the Budget Committee's recommendation, the moderator shall recognize an amendment from the applicable department committee, if any, and no more than 3 amendments from the floor. All motions must be seconded. Discussion shall be allowed in the reverse order in which the motions were presented, and by any maker of an amendment prior to any votes taken. In making a motion, the elector shall, 1, proceed to the nearest microphone, 2, state his/her name and address, and 3, state the motion, which must contain a specific dollar amount. If all motions fail to be adopted, new motions may be entertained and voted on as presented.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, resolve that no motion that alters, amends, rescinds, or reconsiders any previous action shall be entertained by the moderator unless there are as many or more electors present as there were at the time the original vote was taken, and the person moving said motion shall have been recorded as voting on the prevailing side.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4, resolve no motion to approve the remainder of the budget as recommended or requested shall be approved unless said motion is adopted by 2/3 of the assembly.
So moved. Second.
Yes. Please state your name and your address.
Technical difficulties. Something here.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to amend the resolve to read the majority of the assembly, not the 2/3.
Is there a second? I'd like to explain this. The moderator placed this procedural rule on the docket, and I thought that it was necessary to have more than a simple majority, but to have a supermajority of 2/3, because what we're doing by adopting the rest of the budget is to cut off and limit any discussion on those budget items. I will leave that up to you. That was my suggestion when I placed it on the docket. So the first thing we're going to vote on, if there's no further discussion, we'll vote on Mr. Martin's amendment to it that motion be adopted by just a simple majority. All those in favor of Mr. Martin's amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. I think we need a hand vote. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Check,
Will the tellers
check,
please
test
get
one.
back in their positions again?
Check, check, test.
Would the tellers please get back in their positions? We're going to take the opposed. All those opposed, please raise your hand. They're reading it to the clerk who's adding it up.
Oh, my word. Are you serious? 145, yes, 144.
Mr. Martin's motion carries 145 to 144.
Next item.
I don't think that this is that important that we can move on. I will address your motion if you go down to the microphone, please.
My name is Larry Miranda. I live at 114 Hobson Avenue in Tiverton. Mr. Moderator, I request, one, that the tellers, when they're done with their count, they give everybody in the room the count. And two, I'd like a recount. You're one vote apart, and you're talking about whether or not the entire budget passes on a majority vote or a two-thirds vote. I think that's pretty important.
Okay. Is there a second to your motion? Second. Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Miranda's motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? What's the... Mr. Miranda, do you agree that you lost that motion?
Yeah, and that's fine. I have no problem when I know.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on. Number 4, resolved. No motion to approve the remainder of the budget as recommended or requested shall be approved unless said motion is adopted by two-thirds of the assembly.
No, he has to do it.
What?
Next one.
Okay, excuse me, number 5, resolved that the order of the agenda shall be maintained.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll turn to page C.
B. You missing B?
B is in, okay.
Read 'em?
Budget Committee resolutions. Number 1, resolved that the town treasurer be is hereby authorized and empowered to release to the parties legally entitled to redeem the same real estate conveyed to the town by the collector of taxes upon payment to the town of taxes, penalties, and expenses thereto, and to sell other parcels on which the period of redemption has expired.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Number 2, resolved that the town treasurer is hereby authorized and empowered to borrow, if necessary, in the name and on the credit of the town, such sums of money as may be required for fiscal year 2006-2007 for transacting the obligations incurred by appropriations made at this financial town meeting, such sums of money not to exceed in the aggregate the sum of $500,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, resolved that all non-recurring accounts be restricted for their intended purpose and that no transfers are authorized out of these accounts.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolved that once the electors of this financial town meeting appropriate the sum of $168,304 for the landfill closure restricted account under the Department of Public Works budget, said fund shall be placed in a reserve fund pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 4511-1 and are to be used solely for the purpose of landfill closure.
So moved.
Second.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mike Carrero, Brackett Avenue. I just questioned the figure of 168.3. That's been the same figure since the 90s.
It is.
Obviously, with inflation,
It is the same number. It's also the same number that DEM has been requiring us to put aside. It was agreed upon many years ago.
Yes.
That was the number to cap the landfill. I agree that the
But if
number
we
is much
look-
higher, but this is what we're required to put in.
it's the minimum.
Correct.
So we're leaving someone with the burden.
Ultimately, we're going to have to bond this.
Has there been discussion of raising it by a
Yes,
dollar?
there has.
It was earlier proposed in the budget to have a higher number, and with the reductions to the budget that fall within the cap.
Is there an amendment?
I don't know yet.
The number was reduced to try to stay within the 5.5% cap. It was proposed in the budget to be a higher number with the recognition that that number will not get us to closure.
All right, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that all funds received from the federal or state government for the purpose of reimbursing the town for any expenditure authorized by appropriations made as a result of this financial town meeting shall be deposited into the town's general fund as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that any supplemental funds received above that which is anticipated per this budget document from the federal, state, or local government for the purposes of any school department's past, current, or future operational expenditure shall result in an equal amount of appropriated funds being returned to the town's general fund as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the electors at this financial town meeting hereby authorize the taking from the general fund surplus balance as of June 30, 2005, the sum of $600,000 to be used to offset the tax rate. This amount shall not exceed the amount noted on the revenue projection page of this budget docket, and there shall remain in the general fund reserve an amount to cover 3% of all expenditures approved at this financial town meeting in accordance with the provisions outlined in town charter.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we'll turn to page C. I'm going to read to you just a portion of this. We're not going to go through it all. At the very top right-hand corner, at the very top it says the total amount of expenditure recommended is, and for this fiscal year 2006-2007, the the total amount is $37,081,280. And thereafter, you see on this page anticipated revenues and reimbursements, which total at the very bottom right-hand corner, $11,977,941. On the following page, page D, at the very top right-hand corner, it says, which leaves a sum to be raised by taxation of, and at the far right-hand corner, fiscal year 2006-2007, $25,103,339, which if you read thereafter will equal a tax rate of $9.54, which is on the right-hand corner. And thereafter it tells you how that tax is determined, and that's for your informational purposes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, the next page, page 1, I understand is for informational purposes and is not to be voted on.
That's correct. We'll do it right now.
Okay, at this time, we're going to receive the reports of the town officials and school committee, if there are any. Is there anyone who would like to render a report at this time?
None?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me say it's been a pleasure to come up here for the last 5 months and join the citizens of Tiverton, be a part of this community. I look forward to working with you all over the next 2.5 years. I have been asked to give note that the maximum tax levy this year, not to exceed the 5.5% tax cap, as established by the Rhode Island Office of Municipal Affairs, is $25,106,838. I would also like to take this time to recognize the departments and all of the outstanding job that they do year in and year out for the residents, from our planning department, our fire department, our police department, DPW, library, the assessor's office, the collection office, code enforcement, clerks, and treasurer's office. I want to thank the department heads who are here and all the employees who are here tonight for the outstanding job that they do. And I do look forward to you taking the opportunity. I have left outside, if you have not received it already, a report from the town administrator's office as we work over the next year to make a number of changes and improvements to increase the efficiencies and operations of town government. I also invite you to take advantage of meeting with me if you have any questions. I keep hours after the normal business hours. You can just make an arrangement with my administrative assistant. And thank you very much.
Jim, at this time, should we accept the treasurer's report, being that he's not here tonight?
Would you move?
I'd move that we accept all the treasurer's reports.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we will receive and accept the treasurer's report. Yes.
Oh, did you vote?
Yes.
Oh.
We're now going to be. Is there
In the
any-
treasurer's report, if I may, does he spell, and I didn't have a chance to review this, the unfunded liability of the police pension?
I would imagine it's in there.
Imagine.
It's in the audit report, I know that.
Okay.
And I think he derives most of his information strictly out of the audit reports.
If there are no further reports from the town department heads, we'll proceed now with page 2. We'll start with the budget. The first budget is the school operational expenditures.
Mr. Moderator, I'm going to make two motions, actually one motion for operations. This number is going to be different than what's on the docket. This docket was printed prior to what the school committee's work has done to change their docket numbers. I'd move 23 for school operations, $23,279,267.
Second.
$23,279,267.
Okay, are there any further motions?
Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Martin.
I'd like to amend that motion, and I'd like that motion to read $22,825,060.
Would you like to speak to that motion, Mr. Martin?
Yes, I would.
Well, maybe we should see if there's any further motions. Are there any further motions? Yes, there was a second. I see no further motions. Mr. Martin, would you like to address your motion?
Yes. The way I came to the conclusion of that figure, it's a 5% increase. I think that's more than sufficient for the school department. Not only is it a 5% increase, it's over a $1 million increase to the school department. I've looked at some of the expenditures of the school department, and I can find very easily where they could save some money. It seems to me that on the municipal side of the government, we're pinching pennies. As of right now, the Department of Public Works got a 0 increase this year in their pays, in their salaries. But yet we saw fit just a few weeks ago to give the superintendent of schools an over $3,000 increase in his pay. We not only increased his pay by over $3,000, we increased his travel expenses from $150 to $250 a month. Yet his portion of his Blue Cross Blue Shield that he pays remains to be at $1,100, which is the same amount as what I would call the little folks pay. On the municipal side of the government, there's been a move, starting with our town administrator, that he pays 15% of the total premium. I guess it fell on deaf ears when it went to the school department, because they didn't see fit to do that. If you look further into it, you look at the business manager, they're looking for a 14% increase in that salary. I mean, in these days, that's unheard of. Not only that, Mr. Moderator, I come from private industry. There are a lot of poor folks in this place that came from private industry. I don't know of any job that you can go to and you get 25 days vacation your first year. That's unheard of. So I think what's happening is we just have a runaway train here. The other thing that you might want to look at is you look at not the principals, the vice principals of every school in this town make more money than our town administrator or any one of the department heads, police chief, fire chief, DPW director, and I would like to know how you can justify that. These men have responsibilities also, and I think they should be on an equal plane. If that were the case, we would all have to move out of town because we could never afford it.
Thanks.
And that's where I'm coming from with this budget. Thank you.
Yes,
My
sir.
name's Joe Souza, 49 Hancock Street. I've kind of been listening to Mr. Martin here, and I've listened to a lot of the issues going on in this state. Obviously, we're not going to get the support from the legislature that we need. We need to hold the line in this town. We can no longer continue to give pay raises annually at twice the rate of inflation. We go to contract, and we're giving away too much. A decade ago, teachers were paid perhaps not enough, but we've been working at it, and now the wages and the benefit packages for our teachers are among 10% the highest in the country. There are very few states that pay what we do to teachers. Now, I appreciate our teachers. You know, they're teaching our youth. We need them. We've got a good bunch up there. But we need to look out for the town. I mean, we're looking at problems with our roads. Or we've got flooding problems in the town. We've got bridges that need repair going over to Lake Nanquacket. And there's just so much that needs to be done in this town. I just want to say to our administrator, who's new in town, and to our school committee, when you go to negotiate these contracts, you need to hold the line. Perhaps we need to end the annual increases in pay. I'm not saying take away the step increases. I'm not saying take away longevity. But when you get to the negotiation table, you need to hold the line. And I'm going to agree with Mr. Martin. The number he came up with is adequate. Thank you.
Would you like to be heard, Mr. Medeiros? Mr. Burke?
Mike Burke, 67 Durfee Road, Vice Chairman of the School Committee. Mike Burke, 67 Durfee Road, Vice Chairman of the School Committee. Well, I appreciate the comments from Mr. Martin and Mr. Souza. We have worked very hard at putting forth a budget and whittling the budget down and down and down to one that does not impact negatively the quality of education that we provide our kids and our teachers and our staff provide our kids. While the arguments around the salary levels and the administrators, certainly it's understandable how people see those salaries and are concerned. The reality is, though, that the marketplace would not allow us to reduce those salaries as significantly as some might suggest. We would not have the ability to hire the staff that provide our students with the quality education they have. Does that mean that we won't do as requested in terms of negotiations? Certainly we will. But the budget that the Budget Committee Chair put, the numbers that the Budget Committee Chair put forth tonight recognizes the reality of what it costs for us to continue to run a high-quality educational system in Tiverton, recognizing, too, that, yes, a lot of the burden does, because the state and the federal government doesn't come forward with an adequate amount of dollars to help us, the burden does fall on the taxpayers, the property tax. We don't have control over that piece of the burden. We advocate for changes in that system constantly, but when it comes down to the bottom line, we have to deal with what the realities are for us today, and these are our realities.
Ken McGovern, 30 Sherrill Drive, Tiverton, Rhode Island. I heard your problem. You helped me with mine. I retired a few years ago. You know what my medical alone a month went up to? $505 a month. Now, that man gets up there and tell you we have situations in this town for the seniors. That's what we're trying to tell you. You know what, teachers worth $100,000. We can't give them enough money for good teachers. I guarantee you that. We all know that. We all went to school. What I'm trying to tell you is the seniors in this town are struggling to stay here and help you guys out. But we can't fix the roads. We can't do this when salaries and benefits are stagnating us, and we get people up here telling us it's for the children. Remember, it's for the children after we pay the salaries, the administration, and whatever's left gets to the children. We can't even buy books, I read the other day, and yet we're giving a 14% raise to somebody. Fix the problem.
Mr. Moderator, I'd also like to call for a ballot vote. I think that would be the appropriate way to do this. I think that way no one is intimidated, no one's looking at one another and how you vote, and I think it should be a ballot vote, and I'm requesting that now.
I think we're going to wait, Mr. Martin, and see if there's any other discussion before we go forward with a...
That's fine. I don't mind waiting for everyone to talk, but that request stands.
My name is Larry Miranda. I live at 114 Hobson Avenue in Tiverton. I'm a former school board member, and I'm not here to justify anybody's pay. I'm not here to say I want my taxes to go up. I'm not here to justify what the administrators make or what the teachers make. I do know we have the following problem in this town and every town in this state, that both the federal government and state government every year come out with mandates and they require the school boards to do things, and then they don't provide the money. Now, one of the things that's ironic here is, many people, I'm sure, whether it be save $600,000 or save $2 million, we'd all be happy to do that. But there's also one other thing the state provided, the school department. Okay, when I ran for the school board, I had one obligation by state law, and one obligation only. Okay, and it was very clear, and it was an oath I had to take, and it was the law, that I had to represent the children. Not the taxpayers, not the teachers, not the administrators. Now, the sad part of that is we have a system where our unions, the NEA and everybody else, hopscotch each other each year for the average pay, and everybody keeps going up, and the state doesn't do anything about it. I'd like to see us, we're in negotiations this year with our teachers union, get on our state legislators to come up with a state contract. Because every year we got to be the average, which means every year we go up. And the sad part is they passed a law called the Carula Bill. And we happen to have an attorney who's been on our school board for many, many years, and he was there when I was there. His name's Stephen Robinson. And when school departments don't get enough money, by law they have to take it to court, and they have to fight under the Carula Act. He's gone to court 3 times. He's won all 3 occasions. The last occasion, he got $1 million more than the school department was asking for. Okay, I don't know this budget. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I went through it. But I do know, and I kind of believe, and I've been at odds with them before, but I also know that they do a tough job, and that's the Budget Committee. And right now, it seems like you have 2 committees that are somewhat in sync. Okay? Yes, it stinks. Okay? They got us by the throat. And unfortunately, our state legislators aren't doing anything. And I want to say this, and I'll shut up after that. On the school board, when I was on it, I went through a teacher's strike. It was one of the worst things. It was my answering machine at home that got the vulgarity that my daughters and wife had to listen to. I was the one that got comments made to me constantly. And you know what? There were no taxpayers showing up. Okay, I was the one that was locked into a room in Providence and told I couldn't go to work and I'd be subpoenaed if I didn't resolve the strike issue. I'm going to suggest that, you know what, we have negotiations going on, that we as taxpayers come and support the school board to negotiate. You're asking 5 people that do this part-time to stand up to a teachers union, and they can't do it. And in all fairness, Mr. Martin, you're not just coming from the public sector. You are the president of the town employees union. Okay, that's not coming from the public sector. And unfortunately, teachers' aides and teachers don't get paid the same. Nurses and doctors don't get paid the same. And it's unfortunate, but that's the facts of life. Thank you.
Jim.
Ms. DeMederis?
Hi.
Mr. Moderator.
I'm speaking, Bob. My name is Denise DeMederis. I'm chairman of the school board. Mr. Burke alluded to the fact that although our salaries do seem high for our administrators, Bob, they are at state average and in some cases below state average. So in order for Tiverton to remain competitive and get qualified people, we have to stay at that average. We cannot go lower because we won't get as qualified as we have. Every single administrator in this building deserves what they get paid right now. They do a good job. Our high school is at a very high level right now, and we've just been recognized at the state level. But just keep in mind, if we go any lower, then the job market will decrease for us, and we will not get the qualified people that we have at this time. And I also would like to say that although it does not appear that way, our budget is at bare minimum. Because of state mandates and because of contractual obligations, we have worked very hard with the Budget Committee, with the Town Council. We have made cuts throughout this whole budget season, and I've been here for 6 years, and I can tell you this budget is at bare minimum at this time. Thank you.
If I may make a couple of comments. I don't see anywhere where the state mandates that we give these kind of raises. I didn't see that kind of mandate. That's one. Number 2 is you talk about the school teachers are going to be going into negotiations. What kind of a signal are you sending when you take the business manager and give that person a 14% increase? When you give from what I read in the paper, our superintendent of schools is the highest paid in the area. So don't tell me that the job market, all of our assistant principals are getting more than the department heads at the town of Tiverton. They're getting more than the town administrator. How do you justify that? Are you saying that he's not qualified, or we're operating from a lower pool and we don't need as qualified individuals on the municipal side? Is that what you're trying to tell me? That's the signal that I'm getting. And yes, Mr. Miranda, I am the head of the union, and we have been negotiating. And how do you think I feel when I sit here and I hear and I see the raises that the school department is giving out, and the town administrator is asking me to take a cut in pay? When the DPW men, all the men at the DPW got 0 increase this year. When we're being asked to give big donations towards our medical, yet there was no increase in their medicals. How do you think that makes me feel? like a second-class citizen? Well, I don't think I am, Mr. Miranda, and I don't think I am to anybody in here. But I think we're driving the people of this town out of town. The only ones that can live in here, in this town, it seems to me, are educators. Doctors and lawyers are moving out of town. Look around, people. Look around. There's not a street in this town that doesn't have a sign on it for sale. Thank you.
Over here, sir.
Mr. Moderator. Tom Ramatowski, 17 Baldwin Road. Are you entertaining questions on the Budget Committee motion as well, or just on Mr. Martin's motion?
No, Mr. Martins, if Mr. Martins is defeated, we'll move to the Budget Committee's recommendation.
Okay, because I have a question on that one, but I'll wait till it comes up. Thank you.
Would you like to? Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, then I went to Mr. Martin. You're going to entertain your motion now for a ballot vote. Are you going to make that motion?
Yes, I have, Mr. Moderator. I am requesting a ballot vote.
Is there a second? Okay, we're now going to take a vote on Mr. Martin's motion that we take a ballot vote. Yes, a ballot vote will
Mr. Moderator, may I just discussion before we take a vote?
Okay. I wanted to ask to answer his
Go
point
ahead.
of order. It would mean that we would all have to singly leave the room, get a ballot, cast the ballot, and then come back here.
That's what I wanted clarified.
Okay, are you ready? Now we're going to vote on Mr. Martin's motion for a ballot vote. We're not going to be voting on the issue itself. All those in favor of Mr. Martin's motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. I think that's failed. Okay.
That's failed.
In accordance with state law 45-3-20, Mr. Martin only needs a second from 20% of the people that are here to go to a ballot vote. Not a voice vote, but 20% of the people here. Now get a count and count the people and see if you get your 20%.
The charter says that it's a majority vote.
State law requires 20% for a second for this to go to a ballot vote. 45-3-20 obligates the town and moderator to comply with that.
I'm going to rule that your position is out of order. We're going to take a hand vote.
Mr. Moderator, could we get a decision from the town attorney?
Mr. Moderator, I think they have to try to overrule you, don't they? Yeah. You made your decision?
I made my decision. Are you asking me to challenging the chair?
Yes, I'm going to challenge the chair, and I'm also going to wait for the gentleman to get his booklet and show you the law.
All those in favor of upholding the chair say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. We're now going to proceed. I think there's been a question of whether or not there was the majority of the people voted against that motion. So all those, we're going to take a hand vote. Will the tellers come forward, please?
You're talking about the ballot? You're talking about the ballot.
We're now going to take a hand vote to satisfy Mr. Martin on whether or not we're going to take a ballot vote. So this is on a ballot vote. All those in favor of a ballot vote, raise your hand.
Charter, which was approved by the General Assembly, after this says not when it's approved by the General Assembly, which it was. It is state law when the General Assembly approves the charter.
I'll be leaving, thank you.
That's why we submit the charter to the General Assembly. And the General Assembly can reject the charter if they want. But a specific charter that's approved by the General Assembly supersedes the general law.
All those opposed to the ballot vote, please raise your hand.
Some of us don't get paid. It's not worth it. Not worth it. No.
115 for Mr. Martin's motion, 200 against. So we will not have a ballot vote. Now, is there any further discussion on Mr. Martin's motion for $22,825,060? If not, then we're going to take a vote now. All those in favor of $22,825,060 say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. I'm not sure if people are yelling loud. We're going to take a hand vote. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. For $22,825,060, Mr. Martin's motion.
I don't know. No, actually, I don't think he does. Doesn't
A
matter.
room count.
He just had one.
Can you tell me how many people are in the room, please? What is the count?
He just had a 200 to 115.
I know.
Well, some people may not be voting.
Okay, now, all those who are against that motion, please raise your hand. Against.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't come by it. Oh, yeah, she doesn't come by it. I'm not going to leave my arm up all night. can't tell. Bad, poor judgment. I can't tell if it passes. Well, it's the biggest nut. I mean,
For the motion, 140, against 180. The motion fails.
Thank you.
We're now going to proceed to the Budget Committee motion, which is $23,279,267. Are you ready for the motion?
Tom had a question, I think.
Yes, sir.
Tom Ramatowski, 17 Baldwin Road. We were led to believe by the hearings that were televised on cable TV and that the original recommendations are right at 5.5%. This is an increase of about...
Tom?
I just want to know, is there an offsetting cut?
Yes, there is.
In
the
municipal
capital
side, and what is it?
The items below it, Tom, instead of being recommended at 197,800, they'll be recommended at 142,200. The difference of 57,600 was added to operations. When the Budget Committee gave the $450-some-thousand recommendation that it had to be cut, we gave the school the leeway to deal with it either operationally or capital. And we knew that they needed time to make that analysis as to where they wanted to make cuts and make the adds. We didn't want to hold them into strictly saying, you have to make all these cuts in operations.
Okay.
They've got a legitimate list of issues that they'll outline in 140,000 that they need to have done.
All right, so just to clarify, there's no offsetting cut coming in the municipal side
No, there is not.
that we should know
No.
about before we make
No.
this? Okay, thank you.
The bottom line is exactly the same as what the Budget Committee recommended. It's just we changed capital and operation.
The reason that this has to be done in this fashion is resolve number 3, which was passed, that you cannot transfer from non-recurring. So the move was made prior to the vote, so the money could be transferred before it became a non-recurring item.
Okay, you ready for the vote? We're voting on the Budget Committee's recommendation of $23,279,267.
Excuse me. Can I make a comment?
Yes,
I have
sir.
two comments. Sanford Mantell, 80 Budway. One of the things I think people are missing, I've been sitting here chomping at the bits. If you don't realize it, your property tax, total taxes from property taxes are 11%. They're going up 11% in total, okay? That means your bills, the 5.5% cap is meaningless. That's just we met a cap that the state mandated in the tax rate. The total revenues to be raised from property taxes are going up 11%. I can't emphasize that. I'm backing up what Mr. Martin was talking about. I was going to comment that, but now I'm commenting. People should realize that's what's happening. And secondly, I'm quite distressed to hear that we don't vote on the source of revenue. Okay? We are taking a budget and voting on the expenditures. No one is asking us for approval of the property taxes to be raised. If I had my way, I would recommend that the total revenues from taxes not exceed 5.5% in total, and even that is too high.
Mr. Mantell, I can somewhat explain this for you, and if I don't do it clearly, then maybe Dave Robert can as well. The 5.5 rate increase that the state allowed us to go to is 5.5. What you're not taking into consideration is last year's tax levy was X amount of money. You're saying 5.5 is the max. What you have not considered is town growth. We've had buildings in this town, we've had developments in this town, and what you're saying is none of those new properties we shouldn't collect any taxes from.
Let me point north. Massachusetts, 2.5%. Since that's been in effect, cities and towns cannot raise revenues more than 2.5% in total a year at all. Okay? That should be something that's enacted in Rhode Island. We in Tiverton should be the first to enact that here ourselves at the budget meeting.
Well, that's not what
We
I'm
have to limit revenues from taxes, period. The 5.5% means nothing. Total revenues are 11% from taxes. I have a neighbor who's contemplating leaving because of that.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Ms. Durfee.
one thing that we asked the tax assessor to do is to have available two people who want to understand how the cap is computed by a formula. He has copies of that. If that gentleman would like to see that copy, I'm sure Dave Robert would be glad to show him how the calculation is made. Now, the town doesn't by itself do the calculation. It goes through the Office of Municipal Affairs in the Department of Administration. They review it and they approve it. And they say, okay, this is your cap and this is how it is computed. Mr. Carter mentioned to all of us the fact that they allow a percentage for growth. And this year, Starwoods, it was part of the town's growth. That is set forth in this formula. If anybody would like to see it, I know Mr. Robert has that, a copy of that. I have a copy of that. I would be glad to show it to anybody.
He's sitting at the table right over here at the lower end.
So I can understand people's frustration. Even though I voted against, for example, hold on now, even though I voted against Mr. Martin's motion, I think all of us sitting on this stage have to understand that that is the way we must operate going forward. And the town council has taken this, as Mr. Martin said, he's the recipient of some of the positions that we have taken. We need to do that. But we need, when we do it, we need the support of the people in this town. So we can pledge to you that going forward, as we have in the past year, taken a pledge to make certain that the salaries do not outrun the ability of people to pay. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I agree.
Name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Diane Rickey, Old Stafford Road, 1041 Old Stafford Road. I agree that we have to consider the school department and everything else, but I think it has been brought up. I think we're doing it backwards. If we agree and pass all these things for expenditures, then how then do we discuss what the tax rate increase is going to be? I think we need to decide what this town can bear, what the individual person can bear, what the retirees can bear. I personally know that there are people that want to leave Tiverton. Tiverton is getting a very bad name. People are looking in Fall River, which is astounding to me, for property to get away for tax relief. If we do this to people that have lived here, I myself have lived here 37 years. If we, was it 35? Oh, you were 35. If we do this to people that have been loyal to this town and have helped you build it, in all those years I have never seen, this is an assault that's going on here, to property owners in Tiverton. I feel assaulted. I feel that, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you reevaluate 3 years ago?
Yes. How
in the world can you double the evaluation of somebody's property in 3 years? How can you do that? I have a piece of property in Tiverton that I've been trying to sell for 1 solid year. I had it appraised. I had it comped to other properties that had sold in Rhode Island, in Tiverton. And I got a figure that didn't even come near what this reassessment is. I have put it up for sale for less because I was forced to do that because of septic system rumors about around Stafford Pond area. So now I went for an appeal and asked for an appeal because how do you get this assessment? And I got denied. And I really would like to know personally how many people here have appealed and how many people were successful in that appeal. Because personally, I think it was just to calm us all down and to wait for time and for us to get used to everything. We've been assaulted. And I'm sure the people that are sitting here right now are all in shock. And if you do this 954, it's the biggest tax increase that I've experienced in all the years I've lived here. And I just don't know how people can take it anymore. I don't see any great thing we're getting, anything different. You say you're building buildings and we have to be responsible for it. You should build the buildings according to what you voted on that year and not expect to come in and build them and then the next year say, well, we have to pay for buildings we built. You just had the retirement community, the villages. They've come in and, I mean, you're getting so much tax revenue from there with no child responsibility for school. That's tax money that's very valuable to us. So why didn't we feel a decrease because of that? Why are we constantly pushing the envelope beyond anything we've ever done before? That's all I got to say, and I just hope we should be talking about this before we go any further.
Okay, are you ready? Okay. To the mic, please. Would you go to the mic, please? Would you go to the mic, please? I'm not going to recognize you till you go to the mic. No, I think you've got to speak in the microphone so everybody can hear you.
Well, I didn't count the
Name,
for
please.
sale signs
Name,
in
please.
Tiverton. My name is Irene Correa.
Okay, thank you.
But I heard it's around 40-some. I don't know. But look at the Secana Times. The houses are up for sale in this town of Tiverton. I was born here, and it's getting so that people, especially the older people, they can't afford this taxation. They just are not controlling the taxes. The revaluation, which is state mandate, but it's a shame. I mean, the schools, they ask for so much. We're willing to support the students, but I think it's outrageous. When the old people can't even, born in this town, they can't even hold their properties. It's a shame. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
May I speak once again, please? Diane Rickey, Old Stafford Road. This tax assessment saying that the taxes have gone up in 3 years, in most cases close to double. I think this needs to be proven to us that our properties are really at that value. But you have to understand that once you initiate this tax increase, you have just decreased the value of our properties. People don't want to come into Tiverton. I'm telling you, I cannot sell my property. And you know why? Because Tiverton is tax hungry, getting a very bad reputation. Yes, you might be proud of your school system, but people don't, everybody that moves in here don't have children and they don't care about that. But everybody cares about taxes. So please, let's really look at what we're doing to our property values. You can't say they're worth more when they're not, and then do things that make them worth even less. It just doesn't balance out.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to, yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Holbrook, 1696 Fish Road. I would like to know who hired the assessor to come around and price these buildings.
I don't
my
think that
house
that's-
was my
that's
house
not
was
pertinent.
checked out by 2 appraisers for $335,000.
That's not pertinent to this. The only thing we're here is to vote on the budget. Those questions need to be answered in a different forum.
Could I continue, please?
No, you can't. This is not the forum to talk
I-
about revaluation.
I was trying to explain that my house was priced at $469,000. 2 valuations were done by appraisal companies for
Ma'am,
$335,000.
we really can't get into that.
Why?
Because that's not pertinent to the budget that we're discussing right now.
I guess not. Thank you.
Now, are we ready for the motion? The motion is the Budget Committee's motion for $23,279,267. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Let's have a hand vote. All those in favor, we're voting now on the Budget Committee's recommendation. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. How many in the room, officer? Four, 6-0. Thank you. 360. Okay, all those opposed, please raise your hand. The Budget Committee recommendation. Okay, we have the vote. For 218, against 95, the motion carries. For 218 in favor of the motion, 95 against.
Mr. Moderator.
We're now going to move to school capital expenditures. The appropriated last year was $418,695. Recommended $197,800.
The Budget Committee would move $140,200. There are 6 items that represents, and there are 5 items that have been eliminated pursuant to what the school committee has voted on. I can give you a list of what those are. They still need $3,000 for the intercom, $23,000 for the bleachers at the high school, $23,000 for the middle school floor gymnasium to be redone with some water fountains, $75,120 for computers system-wide. They need a new pickup truck. It's a 5-year lease payment or a purchase payment of $58.50 each year, and a zero-turn mower that they need to mow the fields with. Those are the 6 items that represent $140,200.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? They have reduced the amount of the school's capital expenditures. Any discussion at all? We'll move ahead then. All those in favor of the amended amount of $140,200, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Okay.
Next, we'll be going to the non-recurring municipal and recurring major expenditure. We'll go to the bottom line on page 3.
Mr. Moderator, we'd move $324,989 that represent the items listed in the far right-hand column, and there is one typographical error on the description that I'll get to once we get a second.
Second.
The typographical error is the recreation rehabilitation should state for Boogamosh Fields, not Town Farm. That was already done.
Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll go forward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Next, page 4.
Mr. Moderator.
I'm sorry, I didn't get here quickly enough. Just to clarify, so in the future, everybody keeps this, or those of us, our weenies keep this. On page 3, under the recurring, what you have titled major expenditures, the fire department tank truck, it says in the docket payment 2 of 7. Is that 4 of 7? Or 2 of 7?
It's 2 of 7, I believe.
Last year it was 3 of 7.
If my memory serves me right, maybe I'm wrong, there was, a few years ago, we had agreed to buy a truck. We set some money aside. We ultimately didn't buy the vehicle. And those funds that would be held for those first 2 years, I think were combined for the first payment of what was ultimately bought last year. Maybe some of the town council members can refresh my recollection, but I think that that's what was actually transpired. So this would really be the second payment, even though the first 2 payments were combined to make the first payment of what was ultimately bought. Or the fire chief can...
Well, it's the same with the vacuum sweeper. In here it says payment 4 of 7, and last year I think it was 3 of 7. I think it should be 5 of 7. I'm really confused.
Ms. Fire Chief.
Mr. Moderator, Chief Robert Lloyd, Tiverton Fire Department. Last year's budget, we did in fact pay for the tank truck out of 098-985, tank truck payment 3 of 7.
It was, okay. So I subtracted instead of added.
Okay, so it should be 4 of 7. And do we have a DPW maybe could answer the vacuum sweeper?
Dave Webster? It is 4 of 7? Okay.
It's 4 of 7, not
Yes, it
5 of
is.
7? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now turn to page 4, General Government, Debt Service.
We'd move $1,293,150 for debt service.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Yes.
Mike Carrero, Brackett Avenue. Just a question. The TIF area sewer debt, I would assume that's the
Starwood sewer line.
Starwood Mansions on the bay?
Yes.
How much income did the town receive to offset that 533?
How much did they what?
How much do we get to
In other words, there should be income coming in taxes to offset that. How much should we get from that project?
What we did this year is we, historically, prior to this year, we had factored a revenue stream of $200,000 that would come in. Then all the rest of the Phase 2 would go into the TIF area, and then we would receive an excess. We never included the assessments in total of Starwood in the tax calculation. This year we did. We took the entire assessment, included it in the tax calculation, and eliminated all the phasing altogether. But in order to do that, so all the revenue from all of Starwood, and Dave Robert can tell us what the assessment is. I don't have that number off the top of my head. In order to do that, you have to pick up the debt as well that was incurred for the sewer line that not only goes to those projects but also goes to the industrial park. So the projected income was in excess of $800,000.
This year from Starwoods?
Yes.
That's sewer fee or taxes?
Taxes.
So in essence, Starwoods is public property, that my tax dollars are going in to help those people.
Excuse me?
That so badly need it.
No, it's just the opposite. Their taxes are paying for this, their portion of the sewer line plus what we paid, the portion to pick up to go to the industrial park.
But I'm being asked to, vote on $533,000.
Yes, you are.
Okay, that's public property then. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready for the vote on $1,293,150. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Town Clerk's Office.
The Budget Committee moves $244,347.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not, I'll go forward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Town Council.
The Budget Committee moves $66,300.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Mr. Martin.
I'd like to make a motion at this time to, it's not on again. I'd like to make a motion that we go with the Budget Committee's recommendations for the remainder of the budget.
That will be by a majority vote, by one. All those in favor of Mr. Martin's motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You had 66 anyway, Bob.
Please don't leave yet, because the clerk still has to do that, what do you call it?
The text vote.
Right.
I'm now going to call back Nancy Mello to... Yeah. It was more than two-thirds anyway.
Okay, we need to make a vote on the tax resolution, please. Resolved that the electors of the town of Tiverton, I'm sorry, can I have your attention, everybody, please? We need this vote, it's very important. Resolved that the electors of the town of Tiverton qualified to vote upon any proposition to impose a tax or for the expenditure of monies in the town meeting legally assembled on the 17th day of May, 2006, hereby order the assessment and collection of a tax on the ratable real estate and tangible personal property and an excise tax on all registered motor vehicles and trailers for the privilege of such registrations in a sum not less than $26,209,494 or more than $26,609,494. Said tax is for the ordinary expenses and charges for the town's proportion of the state tax and for other purposes authorized by law, the assessor having, in accordance with the provisions of Title 44, Chapter 5, General Laws of 1956 as amended, assessed and apportioned said real and personal property tax on the 31st day of December 2005 at 12 o'clock midnight, and said excise tax shall be apportioned on a pro rata basis during the calendar year of proration based on the ratio that the number of days such vehicle or trailer is registered is to the number of days in the calendar year of proration according to law, shall upon completion of said assessment date, certify, and sign the same, and deliver to and deposit with the town clerk's office on or before the 15th day of June 2006. The town clerk, upon receipt of said assessment, shall forthwith make a copy of the same and deliver it to the town treasurer, who shall forthwith issue and affix to said copy a warrant under his hand directed to the collector of taxes of said town, commanding said tax collector to proceed to collect said taxes of the persons and estates liable therefor. Said tax, when paid in one annual installment, shall be due and payable on the first day of August 2006. Taxpayers may elect to make payments quarterly for real estate and personal property tax when over $100, in which case payment shall be due on the first day of July and October of 2006 and the first day of January and April 2007. Payments not received by the 10th of the month in which due shall be assessed interest at the rate of 12% per annum from July 1st to the date of payment on the unpaid quarterly balances. Adopted by the Financial Town Meeting of May 17th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Can you just repeat the minimum and the maximum? This is setting our tax rate.
Okay. not less than $26,209,494.
26,209,494.
Or more than $26,609,494.
26,609,494. Thank you.
Okay? And we need a vote on that.
Excuse me, Sanford
This
Mantel,
includes-
Budway. I have a question. Are we approving the tax rate of $9.54? Is that what this is, a motion?
Yes.
Well, I make a motion that the tax rate be adjusted to $9.07 a thousand.
You can't. We're not going to be able to do that, sir. We're going to still have to raise the money anyway. We've already voted on the money. So no second. All the.
Yes.
The motion's already been moved and seconded. We're going to proceed with the first motion first. All those in favor, if you want, we can always go to your motion. It was already made. All those in favor of the motion as read by the town clerk, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Say something before it ends. I just have one more comment on this. The rate to be collected, the not less than or more than, that includes a motor vehicle levy of $1,265,590, and it includes an inventory levy of $40,565,000. So that is included in that amount, okay?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
And they're up here too, pal.
Adjourn.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to Tiverton High School Drama Club's presentation of South Pacific in dedication to all who have served in the armed forces. Before the show begins, I would like you all to please turn off your cell phones. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Dites-moi pourquoi, chère mademoiselle, est-ce que, parce que vous m'aimez? Est-ce que, parce que vous m'aimez?
Allez-vous, vite dans la maison.
Non, Henri. Moi, je reste ici.
Oui, nous verrons bien. Viens, petit moustique.
Non, Henri, non, non.
That is frangipani.
But what a color.
You will find many more flowers out here. Je serve la café.
Oui, monsieur. Surtout. Oui, monsieur de Beck.
Well, I'm just speechless. And that lunch, wild chicken, I didn't know it was ever wild. Gosh, I had no idea that people lived like this right out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Sugar?
Oh, thanks.
1.
3. I know it's a big load for a demi-tasse to carry. All right, I'm a hick. You know so many American words. Do you know what a hick is?
A hick is one who lives in a stick.
Sticks, plural, the sticks.
Pardon, the sticks. I remember now.
How long did it take you to build up a plantation like this?
I came to the Pacific when I was a young man.
Emile, is it true that all the planters on these islands, are they all running away from something?
Who was not running away from something? There are fugitives everywhere. Paris, New York, even Small Rock. Where you come from?
Little Rock.
Little Rock. You know fugitives there?
Yes, I'll show you a picture of a Little Rock fugitive. I got this clipping from my mother today.
Ensign Nellie Forbush, Arkansas's own Florence Nightingale.
That was written by Mrs. Leeming, the social editor. She went to school with my mother. To read her, you'd think I'm practically the most important nurse in the entire Navy, and that it's only a matter of time before I become a lady admiral.
In this picture, you do not look much like an admiral.
That was before I knew what the rain and heat and mud could do to your disposition. But it isn't raining today. Gosh, it's beautiful here. Just look at that yellow sun. You know, I don't think it's the end of the world like everyone else thinks. I just can't work myself up to getting that low. Do you think I'm crazy too? They all do over at the Fleet Hospital. Do you know what they call me? Knucklehead Nellie. I suppose I am, but I can't help it. When the sky is a bright canary yellow, I forget every cloud I've ever seen. So they call me a cockeyed optimist, immature and incurably green. I have heard people rant and rave in bellow that we're done and we might as well be dead. But I'm only a cockeyed optimist, and I can't get it into my head. I hear the human race is falling on its face and hasn't very far to go. But every whippoorwill is selling me a bill and telling me it just ain't so. I could say life is just a bowl of jello and appear more intelligent and smart, but I'm stuck like a dope with a thing called hope, and I can't get it out of my heart. Not this heart. Do you want to know anything else about me?
Yes. You say you're a fugitive. When you joined the Navy, what were you